Right, so The Beautiful Dogs by Shane Gillis. Now, I'm going to preface this by saying that I don't know every single thing about Shane Gillis's comedy. I have seen him on podcasts before, like he does this one podcast with this other comedian, but I don't know tons and tons about his stand-up. I've not watched all of his stand-up specials, if that makes sense. So I will give you a bit of an understanding of what this special had to offer. So it's like the comic riffs on his girlfriend's Navy SEAL ex touring George Washington's house and being bullied by an Australian goth. Right, so you get that. He's kind of one of these other similar comedians where he is getting super offensive, right? Tells all of these jokes, and then it's like I think it's like 50. The special itself is 52 minutes. So to be honest with you, right, this is kind of an interesting one because right, I've obviously praised the hell out of these stand-up comedians, but with this one, right, it's kind of interesting because I don't know if I kind of like this kind of special, right? I know there was a few moments where it was quite hilarious. Then there was quite a lot of moments where it wasn't that funny at all. Maybe it's because he's American and I'm Scottish, so there's some things that don't really translate well, like some of the jokes and his style.
You are about to experience the James Rambling Show, hosted by James Bay.
Hello, welcome back to the James Ramblin' Show for yet another episode. And in today's episode, it's not delayed like last week's episode. We actually have good lights now. One of my lights got fixed. So what I'm actually going to be talking about in this episode, because last week I kind of dabbled into some football stuff, talking about the Sidemen charity match for a change. So this week I'm going to kind of circle back to one of the huge staples of this year now. We kind of did that with the One Piece episode of the Back where we were dabbling back into a staple, the thing we did this year. So I'm going to be talking about Shane Gillis' stand-up special called Beautiful Dogs and a few other things. But so this special, I believe, it came out like 10 days ago. So I'm kinda late to the party with this one. So just to bring you up to speed, right, on the James Ramos for this year, I have kind of shared these points where I go to these like stand-up events or I watch it on Netflix or whatever. So one of them was like Louis C.K. and then we had like John Mulaney. We had the Mark Norman like a month ago. So once you sort of get into that, once you start understanding that this is kind of a staple on the show now, right, so The Beautiful Dogs by Shane Gillis. Now, I'm going to preface this by saying that I don't know every single thing about Shane Gillis's comedy. I have seen him on podcasts before, like he does this one podcast with this other comedian, but I don't know tons and tons about his stand-up. I've not watched all of his stand-up specials, if that makes sense. So I will give you a bit of an understanding of what this special had to offer. So it's like the comic riffs on his girlfriend's Navy SEAL ex touring George Washington's house and being bullied by an Australian goth. Right, so you get that. He's kind of one of these other similar comedians where he is getting super offensive, right? Tells all of these jokes, and then it's like I think it's like 50. The special itself is 52 minutes. So to be honest with you, right, this is kind of an interesting one because right, I've obviously praised the hell out of these stand-up comedians, but with this one, right, it's kind of interesting because I don't know if I kind of like this kind of special, right? I know there was a few moments where it was quite hilarious. Then there was quite a lot of moments where it wasn't that funny at all. Maybe it's because he's American and I'm Scottish, so there's some things that don't really translate well, like some of the jokes and his style just wasn't for me. So there was the Australian stuff that I personally thought was quite hilarious. So I believe there was some clips there, so I will grab some for his like special and that. Right, so which one? I spot.
Australia might be number two.
Right, this is one of the clips here.
There's a whole
Oh,
country doing nothing. That's what I like about them. They're just down there. Zero exports. Creating nothing, dude. The only export I've seen come out of Australia is just that YouTube video.
I'm just showing the video, audio listeners, of him talking about this thing. Right.
That kangaroo holding that dog hostage out in the woods.
I'll show it a bit closer, right?
Don't hesitate. Kangaroo knew If you've seen the video, you know how good that impression is.
Yeah, so that was him talking about this kangaroo thing in Australia. What history buffs? What was this one?
I'm a bit of a history buff, which, by the way, that is early onset Republican.
Yeah, that was something to do with the George Washington stuff, but I do believe there was actually something here.
It's like, you can't be that. You can't be a goth from Australia. You sound funny. You can't be.
So that's him talking about the goth from Australia.
It's like, shut up, dude. I'm actually very dark and twisty.
That's his like accent impression of an Australian accent.
You're Australian. You sound funny. Australian accent's one of those accents that's funny.
Yeah, to be honest with you, right, that segment where he was talking about how the Australian accent was quite funny, I did enjoy, but there was just points where it was kind of hard to understand the jokes themselves, and when you can't really understand a joke in a stand-up special or comedy, comedy's subjective, so some people just can't understand a certain joke. So that's kind of my thoughts on this entire special. So it's not like the most kind of like hype energy special kind of take where I'm like, oh my god, guys, this is like the best comedy special ever. Because it won't match. To me, it does not match that Lucy Kay event. It doesn't match the whole thing with Chris Rock or the whole thing with John Mulaney or whatever, the Mark Norman stuff. So once you dive outside of that, I know this is kind of like something we've done a few times or like 100 million times before already, but there's this guy, right? You should know him already, but if you don't know him, right, his name is Tom Dunkins, and if you know the James Ramlin show, this is a thing that we have said a million times already, but he actually made this movie sort of thing, this kind of 10-minute short film where it's called Jimmy McBean, a short film by Tom Dunkins or whatever, right? So I will play some of it. So it's pretty much like a parody of the James Ramblin' show slash me, I guess you could say, where he was kind of parodying me. So I'll find the video right now. I don't know if I'm going to play the entire video, but there is some it, and it made me laugh. I watched it today. It was quite hilarious to say the least. So I will find that video for you, baby. Right. This was the start of it, right?
So that's why I think the Fly episode is the best episode of Breaking Bad, guys. So without further ado, I'll see you next time on the Jumbo Bean Show. Peace out.
Yeah, I think there was a good point where was the other one, right? Need to get it. Where was it? Yeah. Wait. Hold on a minute. Right. There we go.
Oh,
Right.
Jimmy, you've been doing this shit for a long time now. It just doesn't seem to be working out. Maybe it's time to consider getting a job. Help you? Don't worry about your dad.
That's another thing to add, right? Is like Phoenix was actually playing some of the characters as well in this segment because they were filming it together, obviously. So he plays like different characters, and there's also this tradie. Like, get a job, James. It's hilarious, right? I'm playing the audio, but I mean that's it there. Audio listeners just showing it, right?
You know what, Jimmy? That's it. Piss off. Oh, Jimmy, we really didn't want to have to do this. Please stay safe out there, Jimmy.
Just gonna show it like that, right? I might cut to the bits where it gets a bit more interesting, especially the tradie when they meets the tradie guy.
Jimmy McBean. Because of this gun of a stage job because apparently you can't drink Jack Daniels or pour it off. So this is a job seeker right now.
This is the tradie lit.
I've got a YouTube channel. It's called the Jumbo Bean Show. Check it out.
That's the tradie played by Phoenix. Oh my god, this is hilarious.
Jimmy McBean, come in when you're ready.
The job centre again, I think it was. Where's the tradie? Hold on. This is when I do a live.
The job interview didn't actually go so well because they didn't actually allow me to work there, kind of. So I'm kind of homeless now. My parents kicked me out. But anyway, guys, so the new Seinfeld episode, I just want to go over that real quick. Oh, I just love Seinfeld, guys.
Oh, you're the little bugger from the job centre, aren't you, mate?
Yeah, hi.
What are you doing with that little device of yours, mate?
Podcast episode.
Oh, what? Mate,
Oh my god.
a little hard on the ears, mate. Answer me, you bloody bugger.
I'll put it in a bit closer actually, right?
Bloody ignorant, bloody bastard. Let me at him.
This is when the tradie fights him and the tradie just punches him down and knocks him out. Wait. I'll wait for this part, this is hilarious. Oh my god. Oh yeah, look at this. Right. 67,000 subscribers it says, by the way, right? That's what it says. And then 1 million views. And everyone's just commenting on the videos and that. All hail the Jimbo Bean show. Scottish man gets attacked. Scottish YouTube star gets viral. It's like all these articles that he added in there saying that went viral. It's hilarious, man. 5 years later. Jimmy's estate, right? We got to show this part at least.
What is up, guys? It is J to the I to the double M to the Y here. It's your boy, Jimmy McBean from the Jumbo Bean Show. Welcome to episode 346, where we celebrate, here we go, 1 million subscribers. Yes, we have finally made it.
Oh, we got to show this part at least.
I'm just getting sorry guys, I'm getting a call from my good old pal Elon Musk.
Oh, we remember him, don't we? Elon Musk.
Here we go.
Huh.
Hello, Elon.
What's up, Jimmy? How would you like to be the new mascot for Twitter? Your salary will be $450 million a year.
Okay, well, sorry to break it to you, Elon, but that offer is a little too low considering my current demand. Alright, I'm just gonna hang up on Elon there.
Oh my.
My god, guys, I cannot believe it has been.
So it says on it's 126,000 people watching, and I've basically pretty much blown up in this comedy skit, right?
5 years since my first video went viral.
5 years since it blew up, right? since I blew up. Yeah, the homeless tradie bit him up, and that's how we got here, right? That's pretty much the whole entire thing. So definitely that was an interesting little movie that Tom Duncans and my friend Phoenix put together, where they were parodying me, my podcast, getting a job and parents and things of that nature. So once we get outside of that kind of stuff, I do actually want to talk about this kind of recent news that happened about this thing that happened. What was it? Like this alien that was found in Peru. I don't think I've actually talked about aliens tons on this podcast a lot, but there was this actual thing that happened yesterday, and I do actually kind of have an article about it, right, that I have found. So I'm just getting it right now, man. This is such a topic transition from that Tom Duncans thing, right? So it says here 1,000-year-old alien corpses displayed in glass cases in Mexico. A UFO enthusiast testified under oath that almost a third of the mummified specimens' DNA was quote unquote unknown and that they were not part of our terrestrial evolution. Two alleged non-human alien corpses have been shown to Mexican politicians. The mummified specimens were displayed, or it was said that already, spearheaded by journalist and UFO researcher Jamie Mawson, who testified. Alright, it says it's just repeating itself, right? But it kind of looks weird. Let me show you. Let's see if I can get an image here of it. Let me zoom in a bit here. Right, so it looks like that, right, audio listeners? It looks like this weird, like, skeleton alien looking thing, right? So if I can zoom into that. Right, it looks kind of strange looking. Right there. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and to be honest, when it comes to aliens itself, it's kind of interesting to say the least because, there would be other life out there, but I'm not like super into it. If you know what I mean? Like, it's not something that I personally think that exists entirely. It's just gonna have to depend, on the UFO stuff. So that's you've got the stand up stuff, right? You've got the Tom Duncan sort of parody of me. You've got that recent news. But I do actually also want to talk about this like recent football game that happened as of late. I did watch some of it. It's like Scotland and England played against each other, and it was like the 150th anniversary since the first game. And so I think it was like the score was like 3-1 to England and stuff like that. Like, I did watch it, but it wasn't the greatest football game ever. Like, I mean, England, they scored a few goals, but even Scotland, they weren't really trying because it was like a friendly match and things of that nature, right? So I'll see if there's any articles on this sort of matter. And I think there was also the whole thing about the Aquaman 2 trailer as well we could talk about, right? So, yeah, it was 1-3, and obviously Scotland lost, right? A lot of Rangers supporters kind of like support England and that, right? So, okay. So it says Scotland 1-3 to England, right? And it says Jude Bellingham inspires Gareth Southgate's side to win at Hampden Park. So Jude Bellingham, I think he was like one of the players for it, whatever. Right, match reports, right. England eased at a 3-1 victory at Hampden, if I say that right, Park, as Scotland failed to hit the form that has taken them to the brink of Euro 2024 qualification. There was an air of anticipation as the rivals met in a friendly to commemorate the 150th anniversary of the first meeting, but Scotland were a shadow of the team that had impressed in the last 5 matches as England took control, right? What else is there to talk about here, right? Scotland came into the match in peak form while England were looking to recover from the frustrating draw with Ukraine. They last won this fixture in 1999, but hopes of another win looked faint from kick-off as they struggled to cope with their rivals' dominance. Let's see. England finally took a deserved lead in the 32nd minute as Fondon diverted Walker's cross into the net. So I think that's just the players of the match, and it was like a 90-minute game. And we did talk about football last week, but we kind of dialed down a bit when it came to the football stuff. So let's dive into like the Aquaman 2 trailer. When it comes to this sort of stuff, right? I wasn't really sure if I wanted to talk about it or not, but on the James Ramblin' show, we did talk about like the Flash and how I was very, very surprised and taken aback by the fact that I really enjoyed it because I'm somebody that doesn't always really enjoy DC. So the fact that this was actually kind of decent, and then I did the Blue Beetle review a couple of weeks ago where I actually really, really enjoyed that movie, surprised myself, really did. So when it comes to the Aquaman 2 trailer, which was called Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, it's like, I do remember the first Aquaman movie. Now, I don't think I've ever talked about, I don't know if I've actually remembered if I've even talked about the Aquaman movie on the podcast, but it's not like a movie that I think is like a top 10 movie of all time. But so, the trailer, what did I think about it personally? I thought it was okay. It actually comes out, I believe, on December 20th, and like, there was a trailer December 20th, right? Directed by James Wan as well. So you have that kind of stuff, right? What was that I say? Do, 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 do. It's like, is Amber Heard? There was this whole thing about how Amber Heard in the Aquaman movie because she wasn't in the trailer. There was that whole thing as well. As the trailer for Aquaman and the Long Kingdom dropped, here's what she and director James Wan have said. Right, here's the deal. What's the deal with Amber Heard and Aquaman? Fans were confused yesterday when the first full trailer for Aquaman and Lost Kingdom dropped, and Amber, the female lead in 2018's first Aquaman film, barely appeared in the sequel sneak peek. She has previously claimed that her role as Mera, love interest to Jason Momoa's title character, was reduced in the wake of her set headline-dominating court battles with ex Johnny Depp. Right, so that was that whole thing with Johnny Depp. So I think that's kind of why that happened. Right? Does Amber Heard even appear in the actual movie itself? It's like the actress 37 is seen for one fleeting moment, maybe two, in the first full trailer of the DC sequel. In one, Mera is seen trapped underwater, and another, she may be seen from a distance holding a baby at a picnic in front of a lighthouse on dry land. It's a huge change from the first film, which is largely focused on the romantic relationship between Jason's superhero protagonist Arthur Curry and Amber Heard's Mera. In the trailer, Arthur describes himself as a husband and a father and is seen caring for a baby. Right, there was that actually in the trailer, right? Whose mother is presumably Mera. Fans have speculated that Mera may be killed off early in the film, but there's no concrete proof of that yet. Right, and another thing about that, the trailer was like, I think like 50 Cent was the villain in the movie and in the trailer. It's kind of weird how that was happening, right? Let me see. I'll see what he actually had to offer with that. Right, 50 Cent, right? He's like that famous rapper guy, right? Wait, no. That's not even 50 Cent. That's not even 50 Cent, dude. The guy looks like 50 Cent, but his name is not even 50 Cent, right? Is played by Black Manta, right? Search up Aquan 2 Black Manta, right? And I'll show you exactly what I was talking about here. Right, so where was it? Images, 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 images. Right, that was the guy there, right? Audio listeners, I'm just going to show you. It's just kind of like an image of him. Right, so that was him there. If it actually zooms in properly. So that's what he looks like. I thought that was like 50 Cent because of the way the guy sounded, but clearly the guy wasn't 50 Cent. So overall, right, the Aquaman 2 trailer, it looks okay. Will I watch it in the theatres? It's coming out December 20th, so that's like how many months away? Like, we're in September, you've got October, November, so a few months away, right? I don't think I'll watch it. We'll see, right? But I hope you enjoyed this episode of the James Ramblin' Show. It's been quite an interesting mix as per usual. Like, you had the stand up special stuff. You had the whole Tom Duncan's film about the parody of the James Ramblin' Show versus and me in general. You had the whole alien thing. You had the you had all that stuff with the England football game. You had the Aquaman 2 trailer. So yeah, see you next week for another episode of the James Ramblin' Show where we're approaching about almost 90 episodes at this point. Kind of crazy. So yeah, bye.